Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Hello. Yes, sir. Binish, sir.
environmental science, and
Okay.
now we have a kind of making it which is technology driven, or something
Correct.
productive coming out of that.
Okay, I'll start then. A very good evening to one and all present here. I welcome Dr. Shubha Pandit, Principal of KG Somaya College of Engineering, Sudha Gupta, Dean of Student Affairs, and our guest speaker for today's session, Dr. Binish Desai, the Recycle Man of India. Defy Convention Abhiyantriki 2020 says a lot about how unique it is. Abhiyantriki 2020 is the very first of its kind because it has defied all the possible conventions and has chosen to pave a way of its own, a way that will make it go down history for being the first virtual edition of this exuberant festivity. Despite the challenges, Abhiyantriki 2020 has put up an absolutely stellar lineup of events, expos, and speaker sessions, all of which begins today with the Parvaah pre-event, for which I thank you all on meticulously switching on your laptops and logging into YouTube to be a part of this wonderful session. Before we begin the very first event of Abhiyantriki 2020, I invite Principal Ma'am to say a few words.
Thank you, Student Council, for giving me this opportunity. And I welcome all who are currently engaged into this activity of KJ Somaya College of Engineering. The Student Council of KJ Somaya College of Engineering, as you must be aware, are very enthusiastic in all variety of festivals, whether it is the technical festival Abhiyantriki or the cultural festival, be it the sports festival. Every festival is given sufficient space and they put in their best foot forward so that they can make the most of whatever time that they get. So here they are challenged by the current affairs of the COVID pandemic, but at the same time making use of the technology that they have at their hand and making the most of it once again. They put up their innovative ideas in a very good way, and I'm sure all of you are just waiting to be a part of it. So I welcome all of you for this event, and I uh, appreciate the work put in by all the people of the student council, all students, and of course I welcome the guest for today's function. I declare that Abhiyantriki 2020 has been started. So with these words, I think I would like you all to take it ahead as the way it has been planned. Thank you so much for being a part here. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am,
you.
for the wonderful words of encouragement. Nothing is useless in this world. What can be a waste to you is someone's asset. A firm believer of this, quoting the person who started his journey at 11 years of age, turned his dream into reality at 27. Presenting to you the Padma Shri nominee, winner of several national and international awards, the youngest to have been awarded the Rotary International Alumni Humanitarian of the Year award for South Asia and Forbes 30 under 30 Asia 2018 list of successful social entrepreneurs. Dr. Binish Desai, the Recycle Man of India. With a lot of enthusiasm, we invite you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Aditi, for the wonderful introduction, and thank you, KG Somaya College for Engineering. And so, I'm going to speak about something that we all know every day, we see every day, but we ignore most of the times. I'm going to talk about waste, but I think I'll need the. Can you share with me the because I want to share the presentation. Can you share the link to it? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Aditi,
Yes,
give
sir.
the
1 minute.
sharing.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Hello, is the presentation visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay, great. So I'm here to talk about something that we see every day, yet we ignore most times. We are going to talk about waste. Before we start talking about what am I here for in terms of the waste, let's first understand what is waste. Well, the concept of waste does not exist in nature. It's the human consumption that has created it. So ultimately, it's our responsibility to get rid of it. So what are the different types of waste? The majoritarily we hear of, they're differentiated into three parts: solid, liquid, and gas. But mostly I focus on solid waste, which is then subcategorized into industrial and domestic waste. Industrial waste are the waste that are generated from the treatment of the particular material or special processing that is required while production, and also construction and demolition waste, the waste that is generated from either construction of a building or while demolishing it. So these are the different types of industrial waste. And now talking about domestic waste, which we actually see every day from our households. So it includes the municipal waste, which basically covers our household waste, agricultural waste coming out from farms and other processes of agriculture, and medical waste, which is basically coming out from hospitals, from various medical institutes. So, what are we doing with all these waste which is being generated? Well, the most common thing that we see is this landfilling. Uh, that's the most common practice that we see. Why is it such a big issue? Well, because it has a negative value. It's not just a cost burden, but it's also an environmental burden. Thus, it's not recommended. The second most common is incineration, which in short we call it as burning of waste. A lot of practices are now creating energy out of that waste. We are still working on it. It's still not a foolproof plan, because we are consuming more energy than we are producing while making this and while creating this entire process. So it's still not a viable option. So we are left with three major waste management, which are environmentally positive. The one is recycling, upcycling, and reuse. We always jumble upon all these words, but what exactly do they mean? Well, recycling only focuses on the material. For example, paper waste, converting that into bricks, that's called recycling, because we are only focusing on the material it is made of and not how it looks or what its features are. Then comes upcycling, where both things matter, which is material and also its features. For example, a rubber tire being converted into a sofa or a sitting space or a chair. That is called upcycling, because we are also keeping in consideration the features that it has. And third is the reuse, which is very simple. A glass bottle that was being used for any type of storage is being used now to store your grains or biofertilizer, anything as such. So that's basically reusing, where you are not just retaining the entire form of it and the shape of it, but all the materials, features, everything are intact. How did waste come into existence? I told you that nature, in nature waste does not exist. So basically, millions of years ago, before man and technology evolved, everything from the food we ate to the clothes we wore, the shelters we lived in, everything would go back to nature. But with evolution of technologies and man, material became more and more complex, and nature is no longer able to break down all these materials, thus resulting in generation of waste. India ranks sixth largest producer of waste, with more than 43,000 industries producing 19,000 tons of solid waste daily. You know how much that is? It's like throwing 10,000 cars into the landfills every day. So imagine the quantum of it. This is the most common picture that we all are aware of. We talk a lot about waste segregation, cleanup drives, etc., but what we are really doing here is not disposing of the waste but relocating it. We are taking waste from one place and disposing it somewhere else. So essentially we are not getting rid of it but basically relocating it in a way that while there is a rain or there is a water body right next to the landfill, all of this ends up back into the ocean. Thus, it is a huge issue. So why does all this waste, although we talk a lot about recycling, we all are aware of it, why is it such a big issue still, despite of us segregating it and cleaning it up? Well, a lot of the products that you think are recyclable may or may not be commercially recyclable. So what's the definition of commercially recyclable? Where if the cost of processing that waste and the cost of logistics is less than the value of the product it will yield, then and only then a product is commercially recyclable. For example, your paper. Most of us here will be shocked to know that your paper is not 100% recyclable. The mere reason is this: once we give it to our raddiwalas, they sell it back to the paper mills, where only 40 to 60% of your paper becomes brand new paper again, because it's not commercially recyclable. It's very expensive for them to de-ink it. So most of your paper ends up into the landfills in form of the sludges, slurries, or just paper maches in the form uh, into these landfills. So what if I told you we have a solution? E-Tech Group, which I founded at the young age of 16, uh, is what we do is we convert waste into eco-economical and social innovations. My journey started when I was 11 years old, and a chewing gum had got stuck on my pants while attending a class. So I tried removing it with a piece of paper. It had hardened up, so I went back home and did the same experiment again, and that resulted in the invention of the first brick. Here you can see the first brick, and it looks nowhere like a brick. It looks more like a pink roti. Well, the reason it's pink is because I even added my mom's talcum powder to it. So the crazy mad scientist decided that I wanted to do this. It was during the same year I learned about the word slums. And in the fashion, because I used to love Captain Planet and Dexter's Labs, I said I will make world's most cost-effective Lego house to change the way we see slums to be. And that's how the journey started. So I used this material to make these small bricks. The reason I said Lego houses is because back then I thought that houses are made like how we make Legos. So learning about it, I started trying out different the same material, trying to refine it. I failed several times, but I would just say, let me just try one more time. देखते क्या होता है, and that's how I was at the age of 14 finally have the material recipe which we still use today. Then at the age of 16, after I returned back as an exchange student from United States in 2010, I decided to start my company. So I went to my family and told them that I wanted to start this. Well, working with waste back then was a taboo, so they said we will not help you or we will not support you. So I had 1600 rupees in my pocket. I went to a paper mill and I said I want to make this waste into a brick. Can you provide me a space where I can do? So they didn't have enough space, so they gave me this space in a parking lot next to a gutter. This is a very thin strip of a parking lot where I started making these bricks. So I always say that my startup started in the backyard of a parking lot in a paper mill next to a smelly gutter, but I had the determination and I had a vision in mind to convert these bricks into world's cheapest house, and that's how my first day at work looked like. And today, in all these years, in the 10th year, we have annually we are recycling 1996 metric tons of waste, and we are preventing them from entering the landfills. Around 3,500 plus metric tons of carbon emission is being reduced from entering the atmosphere, and now we have 178 plus products made from 67 plus different types of waste. So this is pre-COVID-19. We are much more ahead now. We are about to reach the 2,500 metric ton mark. But this is the official update before the pandemic hit us. Now, how does this work? Like I told you about how much we are recycling, but let me share with you how all these things work. Well, let's before that first understand the different economies surrounding waste. The waste that is being generated was generated because of the linear economy, where the raw material is being converted into products, consumed, and once used, they are thrown as waste. Then came the recycling economy, where yes, the same products were being consumed, segregated, and then the ones that could be recycled were recycled back into the products, but the rest of it was ending up in landfills as waste. But now we need to move towards circular economy, where one man's waste becomes the other man's treasure, where we repair, reuse, recycle, and upcycle in a way that there is no waste that is being generated. So, based on the circular economy, we have developed our own process of how waste can be converted into a product of use. This is very important for everyone here aspiring to have a startup to analyze themselves in these three parameters. It's very important for us to understand that all the products has to be not just economically viable, but also have to be socially impactful and also environmentally impacting as well. So balance of all these three things is very important, and that's the core behind this entire process. So starting with the first aspect of it, identification. um, to For us to convert a product and convert a waste into a product, it's very important for us to first identify how much waste is being generated, what type of waste is being generated, how is the the segregation of it in terms of whether it is available in a mixed form or it is specifically available through a different channel, through how it is consumed, how much it is being consumed. So all these things are come as identification. Once they are identified, they need to be segregated. We talk about waste and wet waste, right? Segregating in that way. But we are taking a step ahead with specific segregations, which I'll be mentioning in my next slides. But lastly, after you segregate it, you need to convert it into, as I mentioned, products that are not just socially, environmentally, and also economically impactful. All these three things have to be converted. All these three things are very important to convert a waste into economical and social innovation. That being said, identification is the first aspect. As I said, we have created this material bank, where we have created more than 178 plus products from 67 different types of waste. So once we have identified it, we keep it on this online data bank which we have, which is accessible by our partners who can research about all these materials and create and contribute towards these products. I think this is a good thing for the students who want to participate and create something innovative. Can join us. There's a process of joining. Can join us and be a part of understanding this waste. We are still increasing. In fact, we are 600 plus eco products, but these are 178 products are all approved ones which are ready to go into the market. So we are constantly researching, constantly coming up with new innovative ideas. So this is one way of how you can access the waste that we identify, how much it is being produced. In fact, you can add more data to it as well. Once we have all those data, we go into how do we collect it, right? So introducing eco bins. These are specific bins that are kept once we have understood what is the type of waste coming out from a particular household or a commercial building or a school or a college. For example, a cafe generates coffee waste, so we will keep these bins where we'll collect these coffee waste and they will be eco processed into different types of products. Same is for the textile waste. The cloth masks, your used up toned down clothes can be collected into these particular bins. There are all different types of waste, even multi-layer plastics, even paper waste. In paper waste, we are doing something very unique. So basically, this bin will collect the paper waste. It will send it to the paper mills, but it will be in a barter system where the amount of, instead of us getting the amount of material that we'll give them, the paper mill is supposed to give us 10 times more that waste against the material that we are providing. So that's creating a circular economy. human hair, something very interesting that I'm going to speak about. We are also creating products out of human hair collected from salons, shampoo bottles, etc. So these are the various types of ways how we can collect. So once we have identified it, let's say all these 4 5 things are being generated from your premises, you can keep these bins in a separate way. They are color identified, and they once they are filled, they can be collected and sent it to us for eco processing. The question arises after it's collected is, how do we send it to Gujarat, right? We are from Hyderabad, we are from Kolkata, we are from Delhi. Isn't it too much to have a logistics? Well, this is where the interesting part about our company comes. Is we have decentralized the process, so it can be in your own backyard, a small empowerment unit. Most of these are located in rural areas because we want to create women empowerment in all these villages. One such is this picture here that you're seeing. It's in a village nearby where they are converting different types of waste coming to them into bricks, into different decor products. Here you can see the women making jewelry and women making home decor products out of it. This is, and then eventually once those products are made, they are sent to various other locations, such as one such ecolite studio, where we convert we put all these products which are converted from different types of waste and are sold here. So in fact, everything that you're seeing in this picture, all this is made out of waste. Maybe the lamps, including Ganesha's idol, they are also made out of waste. So we create such spaces where your products, once they come out from your factories, can come to such studios. These studios are also interactive studios where people can walk in, try out different types of waste, work with it. Uh, Designers can design new ideas, and it's like an ideas lab as well. So we are creating a space for not just by not just decentralizing the particular technology, but also ensuring that everyone is taken into consideration, including the women in the rural areas. So these are the various products that we make out of it. As you can see, various products made out of plastic waste. This is an eco wood, as I mentioned earlier. This is made out of human hair collected from salons. Yes, I'm saying it right. The salon, the hair that is collected through our eco bins from those salons are brought to our places, and we make such panels which are used to make furnitures for that very same salon, thus creating a circular economy where their waste becomes their treasure. Here you can see eco tiles made out of textile and metal waste. This is world's first tiles, sorry, made entirely out of waste. So that's eco tiles. you know uh, these here lamps are made from paper waste coming from paper mills. All these are handmade by the women. Here you can see a glass made from coffee waste. In fact, soon we are launching an entire company that is dedicated just to converting coffee waste into different types of crockery. That's coming mostly during Diwali. So we are creating such products where one man's waste becomes the other man's treasure. And talking about the pandemic, we all have seen these picture. The most common one, all these face masks being dumped into the oceans. This is a very common scenario that we have been seeing ever since the lockdown. And I have eco anxiety. So once I saw all these pictures, it was too difficult for me to actually, understand that all these efforts that we are making towards cleaning up the oceans are all going into vain. I started recycling all these, tried testing it out in my own lab at home, and we were able to finally convert the PP face mask into brick 2.0. These bricks are stronger, more durable than the conventional bricks. And the brick one, which I mentioned earlier, from the paper waste, we are converting now. This is brick 2.0, which also has 52% of this brick has PP face mask into it. So we are recycling it in a very different way. Now, talking about the entire process, how we are doing it. as we said, we will be placing eco bins everywhere as per the pollution control board guidelines. We'll be keeping this eco bins in isolation for 72 hours. Once the 72-hour period is over, we'll collect it, and it will be open in a disinfection chamber where it will be washed twice. So the first washing will happen in a disinfectant uh, before shredding. Once it is shredded again, it will be washed again, and then mixed with a special binder. And 45% of the material is the paper waste which was previously used. It will be hand molded by various people in our various centers and eco factories, and converted into these brick 2.0. These bricks are, as I said, three times stronger than the conventional brick. They are twice the size, and yet they are half the price. So they are not just fire retardant, pest resistant. They are even cost effective. So this is our way of showing practically how a waste being generated because of this pandemic can be converted into product of use. As you can see here, these are the bricks that are made. They are now being used to make cost effective houses and toilets all across India. With these brick 2.0, now there is more increasing demand of people accepting it. A lot of questions arise in terms of how do people start accepting it. Well, I started doing layman's test, where what I would do is this: I would take the conventional brick and I would take my brick and ask anyone who would have a question, just throw as far as you want, hit it with a hammer, dip it into water for as many days, and compare both of them and see which one wins. And that was my way when I started back in 2010. That was how I would convince the people. But today, with all these technologies in the market, it's much more acceptable, with now everyone being aware that yes, waste can be this useful. So that's a type of thing that I'm very proud of, that I was able to change the mentality of how people perceive waste to be. And now, how you guys can be involved? We run eco centers across India in various colleges and schools. So you can, your student council can join hands and create these eco clubs, or eco centers, which are will give you a certain type of activities that you can do with waste, and I can guide you as to how you can convert waste into an eco-economical solution. So it's a good way for the startups to understand waste as one of their future aspects. You can These are just a couple of pictures of how students are converting waste. Here, an architect student has created an arc out of the waste, the bricks that they have made out of waste. The students here creating small things out of it. Someone decided to be creative and even created a bowling set out of the waste. So such stuff come out from schools and colleges, and this is just for people to understand that waste can be very much useful. Lastly, before I open this mic for all of your questions, and I want to say to all of us that whoever wants to pursue your startup in this particular field or any kind of field needs to understand these few points in mind. The first thing is observe a problem around you. As I said, nature is there's nothing useless in the nature. So it will give you a lot of although you see problems, but it will also give you solutions. So continue observing, then failure is the key to understand how not to do things. That's the best way. If you are failing, you are doing something right. Always remember that. Third is learn from your failures. Learn from what you observed. Once while you're learning, I still consider myself as a constant learner forever. So keep learning, learn from all these things you are observing from your failures, and get involved to learn more. Get involved with experts, join eco centers, eco clubs, interacts, rotaracts, all these things, to get involved, to learn more about how you can create a difference through your observations. And then lastly, solve. So when you are solving, remember to have a balance of social, economic, and environmental impact. So assess yourself into all these three things, and we are good to go. Lastly, I want to say there is nothing useless in this world. What can be a waste to you is someone else's asset. We youth are the torchbearers of the society, and we need to start taking waste seriously. With that note, I want to know what all questions that you have. Thank you. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, from our YouTube live chat section, we got a few questions.
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. So, first of all, it is yeah. So, one of the people asked, how can we execute the disposal of an brick at the end of its life cycle?
So all our bricks, once they are used, can be 100% recycled. So if a brick breaks, or if let's say you are, it becomes a demolition waste, it can be 100% recycled into a brand new brick again. So it's a constant process that does not end up being in the landfill. So even if it's coated with paint, or even if it's coated with a plaster, a conventional plaster, or plaster that we ourselves manufacture, it is all these are 100% recyclable.
Uh, there's
Okay,
one more
sir.
question, sir.
Yeah.
What's a substitute to multi-layer packaging for food products?
So, substitute to multi-layer packaging for fruit products. A lot of new innovation is happening in terms of, those bioplastics that are coming up. These are very interesting food grade materials that are being generated out of products such as milk, from extracts of plants. So those have a potential to become future packaging substitutes. As of right now, there are a lot of other options that are available. But if let's say if you're going to a shop to buy grains or something, always take your dabba with you. At least abroad and some places in India, a lot of eco-conscious stores are opening up where the packaging is just coming up in reusable bottles, where you can, once it's empty, you can give it back to them and it can be reused. So such stuff are there available, specifically for packaging for food. We do have options for packaging of various stuff, such as a substitute of thermocol, which is made from mycelium. That's there. But in terms of specifically food, I think these bioplastics are the best options for now.
Okay. There's again one question. Why does our government not opt for so many eco-friendly options, say building bricks? Do you think they are hesitant to accept the change?
No, I think the government is very much accepting the eco breaks. The problems arise are between the stakeholders in terms of let's first understand why. Uh, it's not just the government, because once, let's say, an eco brick comes into the market, for example ours. So what we are doing is we are closely working with the government to create these. But it's more about having the technology rightly spread, because if we just put the technology out there, the usage of it is can be more than the damages in the way of the quality of the material can become. Also, it has to come through a special guidelines, has to be understood through the most remotest of the people. So what we do is all our centers, we train them along with the government, local governments. We tie up with them to make the people understand, to convert from the red bricks into making these the eco-friendly bricks. So There are a lot of, not just the bricks, but there are a lot of eco-friendly products out there. Government in a way is encouraging them in a lot of aspects, but there is still more cooperation required in terms of us trying to be more eco-friendly and eco-conscious in a way that we can put it on a mass scale.
Okay. Uh, Next question is, what are your views on election waste and how can we overcome it?
Which ways?
Election waste?
Is it election or electronic waste? What's
Yeah, I'm sorry, electronic waste. Yeah.
e-waste? Yeah, so e-waste is being recycled, but the problem with e-waste is also, again, they are only extracting out the heavy metals, which is gold, titanium, platinum, silver. All these things are being extracted out, but what about the plastics? So we are working on converting those thrown away e-waste. So we are basically collecting waste of the e-waste companies and converting them into different products. So that's something that but we still need to focus on the right recycling, because a lot of times our understanding about recycling is flawed, that just segregating doesn't mean recycling. Actually converting them into a product of use is the actual recycling.
Okay, that has answered the question, I guess. Next question is, considering so many better and eco-friendly options, does the future of our planet being saved if we increase this usage?
I think absolutely we all are on this earth in terms of see if we I first want to say a very simple thing: only buy things that you need and not the things that you want. That's the first step of reducing your waste. The second thing is being more eco-conscious, because for example, plastic is a huge problem, because all the plastic that was made from day one is still in some or the other form still existent on this planet. So the overall issue remains the same. We need to solve all these problems. We need to change the way we see waste to be. We need to change the way we adopt these eco-friendly products. Talking about that, a lot of eco products right now, because of them being handmade or being made in a very limited amount, are a bit expensive. So it's also us as consumers who need to understand that it is okay for us to spend another 10 rupees more than the conventional one, towards trying to save this planet. And I think if even the youth, if we all get together, we can save the planet. uh, current Currently you would have seen a documentary on Netflix. That's the same thing. It's still not too late. We still have it in our hand. We just need to change our style, but very immediately we need to act now. So
That was really well said, sir. Next one is, as much as recycling of waste is important, wouldn't it be more beneficial if we cut down waste generating sources?
absolutely, that's the key, but it's going to take a lot of time in terms of again, I said, let's say tomorrow, I call it as a milk bottle theory. So basically, let's say tomorrow the government regulates saying that all the all the manufacturers of the milk packets are supposed to, it's banned, tetra packs are banned. You need to have glass bottles. The milk can only come in glass bottles now. One who is manufacturing will say, okay, the 100 rupee milk will now become 150 or 120, whatever, because it also is responsible for answering to its stakeholders who have invested into, which is a lot of times us ourselves, who have it's if it's a limited public, so public would have invested into it. So they are going to increase the pricing. Now us as consumers, are we ready to accept 150 rupee milk bottle? What if our neighbor one day ends up, through a black market, ends up getting a plastic bottle? Maybe will we'll try to convince that person, but maybe after a year when we see a difference between, okay, he saved 10,000 rupees behind by just doing all these things, then no, we are educated, but a lot of times people, that big amount makes a huge difference to them. So then it's between choosing whether to be eco-conscious or choosing to save the amount that they are earning. So such stuff happen, but cutting the waste at its core is very important. So bringing up substitutes of the materials that create a lot of waste is very important as well. So that's how we are creating, and let's say assume that from tomorrow itself all the materials that we know of that are generating waste stop being a waste and start being useful. It will still take us years to clean up the mess that we have already done in terms of the landfills, clean up these landfills and all these things, because that's something that we need to also focus on as well. As I said, 19,000 tons every day. So imagine 10,000 गाड़ियां रोज फेंकी जा रही है and we are not doing anything about it. Yeah, that's just in India.
Uh, okay, sir, that was really great. Next, we have this question that can these bricks that we discussed about in the presentation be used for heavy construction such as construction of bridges, etc.?
Yes, so we have a different
Will they bear
material.
the load?
Yes, so load bearing structures. So we have different materials for different uses. For example, we have eco paver blocks, which are made from which are because if we are talking about bridge construction, we need a bit of combination of sturdy at the same time lightweight and heaviness as well. But it's a very weird combination that's required. We have successfully worked and created such materials where we can use it for highway construction, for the bridges and etc. So yes, we have an option, but the bricks can be used for high story buildings, anywhere for outdoor, indoor anything. In fact, we are also working on bulletproof bricks, which can be used for for the security and all those purposes.
Next question is cleaning around us, supporting cleaning drives, all that is just momentary. How do you think that a lifelong habit of reducing waste, recycling, and reusing stuff will be induced in our minds?
That is the best example would be going and taking lessons from our mothers. Our moms are the biggest recyclers in the world. I always say that because all of our favorite t-shirts, one day or the other, thoda bhi fat jayega, to our moms will convert it into bags for carrying, sabji, or will convert it into a pocha. So the idea is still there. We have never understood the recycling aspect of it. हम लोग जुगाड़ बोलते हैं उसको. So Jugaad is in our blood, it's in our culture for years. And I think just adapting to it will make it much more easier for us to bring up all these recycling, eco-friendly technologies into practices as well. So once I think the initial part is just initiating. Once we put in a perspective about how we have already been doing it in some or the other way, that just opens up a lot of aspects for us to work on.
Also, like engineers are known for jugaad, so it won't be difficult for us to accept
Absolutely.
this. Okay, so next question is solution to increasing plastic waste in ocean.
So the first solution would be having replacements of almost first is no use of single use plastics, completely banning them, having substitutes instead. Apart from that, cleaning up the oceans once they are cleaned up, ensuring that they are not ending up into a landfill but are being converted into something or the other of use. There is a huge ocean cleanup project going on, and the plan is that once all that waste which is collected can be converted into various products of mass scale, because making just a couple of shoes or bags and things like that is not gonna end are huge, because the quantum of the waste that is being collected or cleaned up is so huge that it needs to be converted into a mass product, such as bricks, roads, panels, etc., which people of need can also be employed to do so, and that can create a circular way of living.
Okay. So could you please throw some light on your student program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we do is this: we run a program called Punaravruti program, which basically means that the students can join us together, create an eco center where we give a format where students can start creating products with the various different types of waste. So I think it's a 3-year program usually for the colleges that we provide. The first year they identify a waste. Once it is identified, they work along with what can be best used into them, create prototypes, and the best one of them, a couple of even usually first we started with just selecting one project, but now we are around 2 to 3 projects we select every year, and we train them to create these projects into commercially viable products which they can do have startups based upon. In fact, students of an engineering college are working on using our waste materials to actually create 3D printed houses. So that's an ongoing project which we are right now very excited about. Some of them are creating prostheses out of waste. So a lot of things can come out from all these eco centers with the students, because you guys have the creativity. The engineers are very creative, so you can jugad, and I just give you the material and the guidelines, and you can deliver the products.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think you have solved most of the doubts and provided the optimum solution as well. So, with this, we come to the end of our session. And I would like to say something about Parvaah, the social initiative of KJ Somaya College of Engineering, which is inspired by the idea of giving back to the society. Each year, KJSCE, in the name of Parvaah, undertakes social causes based on relevant issues in the society. The current undertaking by Parvaah of a zero waste community, which is in third and final year of its course, was taken up seeing the importance of waste management in today's times. And this session with Dr. Binish has certainly given a boost to this initiative of ours at KJSC Parvaah. Again, thank you so much, sir, for being there with us and guiding us.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. It was great interacting with you all. If you want to reach out to me anytime, just write to me. I'll be helpful in terms of creating waste into eco innovations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Done now?
Yes, done.